Hello, my name is Sarada. If that's too hard to say, you can absolutely say Sarada. I am a counselor at Venturous, and I grew up, currently live, and work on the traditional unceded and ancestral lands of the Musqueam, Squamish, Tsleil-Waututh, and Stolo Nations.
How did you get into counseling?
I was kind of from a young age labeled as a helper. When I learned about what a counselor was as a teen and realized that there was this profession where you connect with people as a person, and especially further on learning more about it, that you're doing it from a place of not being an expert, but as just another human. It was just one of those like coming home to myself kinds of moments. And so I feel like I can't think of a time where I got into counseling. I think I just returned home to it. It just, that's kind of like the feeling that I have.
Now that you're here, what surprises you about being a counselor?
It's interesting because it surprises me, but it also doesn't surprise me. Just how like transformative it can be to see what just having a space to exist, what that offers people. Having just space to be yourself, space to explore, space to rest. The power of that is, I'm always in awe and I guess surprised by it, but I'm also like reassured and reaffirmed as like, yeah, that's what this is.
Why do you think counseling works?
When you find that fit with a counselor where you feel genuinely accepted and respected at a human level, that kind of creates the ground. And then on top of that, you can kind of water and grow trust and safety. And then once that is established in this really beautiful, collaborative, and relational way, it just creates this really great environment for people to reflect, for people to ultimately change if they want to change, and to feel like they belong. I think just that true sense of belonging, I don't know, it's so transformative, and I know that as a client of counseling too. It's why and how I think it works in a broad sense.
What is your approach to counseling?
Well, the formal term would be, person centered, but what that really means to me and how that actually shows up and how I show up in that way is just really that I genuinely believe that clients and people know what they know what they don't need, and that they already have an understanding of where their capacity is at. And so my role is really just to create the environment where those truths can be safely held, and when capacity is there, potentially challenge them or sit with them or explore them or whatever it is. I take a pretty non directive approach. So I tend to offer little things here and there, but I see them as more like invitations, and I expect and respect anyone to decline. I think that's an important part of the relationship in therapy, is that people have the right to decline and to guide. And I think that's such a beautiful, empowering thing. I guess my approach is also very much rooted in curiosity. I've always been a very curious person. It's almost a little bit of my like inner child integration into self now, is I'm very curious. So that curiosity is a big piece. Collaboration is a big piece. And that kind of shows up in ways of checking in, asking questions, pausing, maybe inviting a pause and seeing, what's happening in the present. I also integrate aspects of other things into my work with clients, whether that be kind of more body focused, somatic stuff, maybe some more artistic things, maybe some parts work, maybe some kind of narrative stuff. But it really is truly guided by what would be most helpful and what resonates most with the person sitting across from me.
And what do you think about multidisciplinary practice?
I think multidisciplinary practice is very cool and also really important. A person's needs change and evolve. Also, the process of therapy is not linear, and what is needed from me, what is needed in the space, what is needed in the process can change. And having a multidisciplinary approach to this work, it really allows us to be more holistic in our approach, be more inclusive in our approach. And it really also aligns with that openness and curiosity that I really believe in and think is really important. And it also just encourages me to continue learning and growing, which is a very fun aspect of being a counselor and being in this field.
What does anti-oppressive practice mean to you? And
I think this is something where my answer for now is just my answer for now, and it will never be a complete answer or a journey that has ended or a lesson that is fully learned. And I think that also speaks to what that means to me, which is that it's a continuous effort to reflect on my own ways of knowing and being and practicing personally and professionally, but also implementing the change into my day-to-day life, putting it into action, into how I sit with other humans is part of what that means to me. It's part of what that work means. And I think it translates into my practice in the way that I really do take a stance of not knowing. And even the things that I think I know, I need to be open when I'm sitting with clients to change and to grow and to adjust and to relearn and unlearn. Yeah. So once again, like I've said the word curiosity so many times, but that curiosity is so important because it keeps me wanting to be open to changing and unlearning. Unlearning is a big one.
what should I expect for my first session with you?
I would say that you can expect that I will be talking more than I normally would. Um, and I say that because usually a first session includes, going over consent forms and things like that, and different policies, and but in a more deep way, I guess what people can expect is that I'm going to be here to listen. I'm going to be present. I'm going to be welcoming of any questions or concerns because I think the beginning is so important to take note of what a client needs to shape this space and shape the relationship in a way that truly works for them. And that could include asking questions about what hasn't worked in the past, if they've had counseling in the past or gone to some other sort of support, getting a sense of what their world looks like a little bit. Who's in their life? What do they do? What do they like? You can expect a space where you can kind of already start to create what you need, and that I will be very receptive to what those needs are and excited to be a part of that. You're going to be heard, you're going to be seen, and you're going to be remembered.